All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here this Monday afternoon, March 13th. I just did a bunch of mouthwash. Got a very fresh mouth, but oh man, not a good idea right before starting this meeting here. Great to see Brian and Michael Grant all included inside our live trading room. Better that than a dry mouth, I guess. But great to have all of us back on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, the works. But with that, let's hop right into it because the market's been pushing on up. We were looking for a pop-off support going into the mid-afternoon, and ever since, it's been working out well, but it's been kind of slow. I mean, hopefully heading into 3 o'clock, 3:30, we tend to see a lot better traction going into the closing bell where we can see a much better run on the S&P. So with that, Mara, I mean, a beneficiary of crypto and Bitcoin moving up throughout the day. If you're a longtime student or if you've been inside our live trading room over the last year, you know that we've been calling out and trading Mara quite frequently. Pretty much when crypto moves makes a bigger pop or push over time, we'll look to trade Mara, Riot, obviously Coinbase, but Mara is right within our price range. It's up big today. Very volatile. And I say that in a good way. It's very liquid. Penny spread. I mean, the more expensive it'll get over time, it will thin out. But I don't think that's going to be a concern today or tomorrow. So really good trade. I'm going to put this on our watch list to begin. Now, with that said, though, for Grant, for Brian, for Michael, for all of us here otherwise that may have been with us over the last year or longer, but, allow me to ask, what's my gripe with all these crypto stocks at this very time of the day, historically speaking? Historically speaking, and we've had proven success with this in terms of, this thought. What happens with these crypto stocks typically going into the close, even as good as Mara looks right now? Brian says they never keep going. Yeah, just a tease. To have a stock at the highs of the day for a long or at the lows of the day for a short, it's exactly where you'd want to see it, right? It's perfect, almost too perfect. And it keeps you hoping for this type of push where it makes another dollar move up higher, makes that big, giant, even more volatile run. I mean, hey, granted, if you are looking for 15 cents and it grinds up and you get it, that's a huge success. But at this time of the day, going into the close, you are expecting the volatility to pick up, especially for a stock that is traditionally near the highs. So, with that said, Mara has been more of a tease in that regard here for the afternoons. Made a great pop earlier. We'll cover this trade likely in our Traders Talk workshop for tomorrow. For Brian, Brad, and all of us there now, just shoot me a quick email if you have any questions for tomorrow's edition of Traders Talk. Any trades, send me over your trading journal. But otherwise, I'm sure we'll cover Mara here at some point. Hey, we'll give it a shot here. We'll put it on our list. It's hard to not put this on our list with how it looks. I always have said at some point in time, I'll be wrong and I'll have egg in my face, and all these crypto Bitcoin mining affiliates will rip into the close higher. I'll be happy to see it. Coinbase right now, a big right now, holding underneath 61. So it's hard for us to not put this on our list either. Pretty expensive, but otherwise, if you don't fancy the more expensive stocks, then just trade Mara then. Riot making the same exact move. I feel like Mara and Riot are basically the same price. Mara traditionally has been the more volatile of the two. And again, I say volatile in a good way right now. So, you know what? I'm not as particular about Riot of the two. I'll put Mara on our list. I'll put Coinbase on our list for those that fancy a more expensive stock. With that, I'm sure we'll find a couple more stocks that are moving upward with the S&P or the markets alike. I'm sure a couple of other crypto miners out there. One stock I did all right on, the Hive trade, but that was like kind of watching grass grow. It was a good trade, but kind of slow. So let's go from top to bottom. Let's see what we can get otherwise. We have two good stocks so far. I always have trouble with this price column, don't I? There we go. You got to weed out like the ones that are too cheap, the ones that are too expensive. I'll tell you what, though, the price column does not weed out a buyout. Whoop, it's a buyout. So PRVB, we're going to pass on. This is a really good setup if it could break over 3. EUDA. We ended up trading this from Friday last week. This is the one that my dyslexia tripped me over. EUDA, trying to break back over 3, a re-break. So, I'm very particular about a re-break here. And we'll see if it could rip coming up soon. EUDA, yeah. got a bit of an iceberg right off the high of the day. Should it break 3 here coming up, you got an iceberg right off of 320 for about 13, 14,000. So be on the lookout right now for this EUDA. Let's actually go and just zoom in here for a moment. Let's see the reaction right now. This is a very important moment right now live. So let's see what we can get here. Nice pop so far. Scarce liquidity on the bid. Looks a little intimidating in that regard, but as long as it could hold over 3, if not hold, then rip now, then you're in the driver's seat. You're expecting a big move shortly after, so it has to rip here, or at a bare minimum, just hold over 3. And that's not a hold over 3. That's not looking good. You wanted to see a good reaction right out the gate. So even with this move here, let's be careful. Now 5,000 shares on the ask again at 3. So we'll come back to this. It's still on our list. But if it ends up completely like crapping the bed, falling right off the bed here, at this point, then we'll scrap it. But let's see what we can get here coming up otherwise. CIFR. How about this? Nice move on this one. I didn't really look at this until right now. Good tight spread. Nice order book, contrary to the UDA. Yeah, I mean, hey, for right now, definitely put this on our list. The only part where I'm a little reluctant is that I've never really traded the stock before. So is it like an IPO or is this like just something that never trades a lot of volume? Yeah, from 21 IPO dropped off all the way down to like 50 cents basically, is pumped up a little bit since. It could be a short squeeze type of play, but yeah, I mean, for right now, looks good. 1 minute chart checks out well. Good order book here. That checks out. All right, we'll keep it going. This did not check out so well. So the CMND trade, I mean, pre-market, it looked like a dud. And after the open, it did pop up a little bit, popped up pretty nicely, actually. I personally didn't partake on this because I thought it was going to be a bit more choppy. I say that in particular off the 475 level. It did push up 25 cents from there. It was takeable, but not a whole lot happened from that point. So all right. This doesn't really prove me right at all just yet. We have about 75 more minutes before the end of the day here. So there's plenty of time to see Mara prove me wrong and make that, illustrious run up higher. But be careful if it makes lower highs. That's all I'm saying. HUT, you can see kind of making a lower high. That's a Bitcoin mining related stock. BTF, I think that's an ETF of sorts. BITO, I think, is also an ETF. Interesting that they approve some ETFs, but they don't approve others for Bitcoin, right? I think that there was one over the weekend that got rejected again. I mean, the grayscale ones, I think, been talked about for a little while. This is a different one here. Bitcoin strategy, ProShares Bitcoin strategy ETF. I was looking at this early in pre-market, but it was flat. I mean, after the open, it ran nice. So I'll put more focus on this perhaps tomorrow morning. If Mara ends up running up higher and Bitcoin does alike, then I'm certain, obviously, that BITO here, this ETF, will do the same. But I want to see it prove a little bit more of itself to me here today, tomorrow. That means. BKKT backed. I think this is a Bitcoin wallet related stock. Just pop and drop. So, that's what happens when the volume peaks and then dies off very sharply after. Ooh, Redfin. Nice move up on RDFN here. We've seen the stock in the past, like from the beginning of this year, ended up making a nice little move up. But, today ended up actually just breaking a new high a moment ago and pulling back a slight bit. But you know what? I'll put this on our main list for right now. RDFN. Good order book. We've traded the stock in the past. You'd want to see it really begin to blast up higher towards 8 again soon because it looks like it just topped off at 801. First test of the level, false breakout. Not a surprise there at all. That's like, honestly, between you and I, that's like my easiest call out of the day. The more and more a stock pushes up, you got to expect a false breakout off a major level, that being off a whole number there at 8. But is that the end of the show? If it is, then there's a lot better opportunity. So let's make sure this can sustain higher lows, moving back up to that 8 level here pretty soon. Gold miners out there, not just the Bitcoin miners, but you got the gold miners out there, JNUG, NUGT, Michael Saylor. I guess for once pretty happy right now with a little up move here on crypto and Bitcoin altogether. He's taken a beating over the last year, though. His company's in bad shape. I mean, if we don't get a squeeze back up soon, then I mean, I don't know the specifics, but there's definitely a liquidation price set. The more crypto and Bitcoin keeps falling, this guy, his company, MicroStrategy, gonna have to default, I believe. All right, we keep it going. ENVX, not much happening there. TWOU, same to be said. KPTI, just a little slow, but I guess it has been trying to go back up a little bit there. I mean, I'll put that on my side list for right now. All right, so there could be more that's up percentage-wise, folks. If there is, definitely type it in the chat board. Let me know early. That goes for all of us on social media as well, Facebook Live, the works. But let me just hop over to our loser side right now. Got all these bank stocks obviously down huge today. They ended up dead cat bouncing, though, a good amount. FRC, you could obviously see, ended up doubling up in price from 20 to basically 40 here. We had the WAL trade, which was getting destroyed in pre-market here leading into the open. I was not expecting this to hit all-time lows and break all-time lows as early as it did. I didn't even think that was going to be as much of a possibility today, but it ended up making a pretty strong dead cat bounce afterwards, though. It broke below like 8 and change, then spiked right back up. I mean, all these did make the same move. PACW ended up bouncing right around 10 o'clock, 10:15, kind of geared towards that famed reversal time that we always talk about. There's definitely a couple more that I'm forgetting just off the top here. Zion, that's another one that I just thought of right now. We had Key Bank. I slipped to Fausto earlier. All of these ended up making their moves already today. On the way down in pre-market, on the way back up after. Are they worth watching for tomorrow? You betcha. Maybe they're worth watching later today, but you shouldn't like the word maybe. I don't like the word maybe. We need to be more definitive with what we're going to be following. The crypto stocks look the best. EUDA still looking pretty interesting. Should it break over 3 again? There's plenty of other stocks out there that look better right now, is what I'm saying. So, keep it on your list for tomorrow. FHN, another one. I'm sure we'll find like a handful more of these, if anything. All right, just looking up the rest of the loser side here. I mean, yeah, it's all the bank stocks, everything else kind of low volume, hard to borrow, or like Tupperware, just too slow. All right, so Chris says ANGI slow but steady. Facts. He did not lie there. With that said, I mean, you don't want to be following a stock that's like watching the grass grow. Let me go back to the Hive trade. Hive, I was on this because I missed Mara earlier. I was on a call with one of our students, and we ended up missing Mara. And I said, all right, well, if Mara goes, I'm sure the other crypto stocks will go. And at the time, I ran into Hive, and it was at a historical level. It popped above it by a penny. I jumped in. It moved up, but I wasn't necessarily looking to be at my desk for an hour and a half to make that trade. I was hoping for that to be a faster move. So, it comes down to what you personally are looking to do with your next hour and 15 minutes, right? So, we got to find something moving a little bit faster, but not a bad shot from Chris. If we can't find much else that looks good, that is totally okay by me because that means we did our job. BBIO at the highs, but slow. I'm sorry, this is BBIO. Getting my stocks mixed up here. I'm going across my Benzinga Pro screener section here, or scanner section rather. DMNR. You could say the same there, Chris, right? It's slow moving, having a nice day so far. BHVN, little illiquid there. Not really a fan of the order book. It looks like it's making a double top, which could be interesting, but I'll tell you what, folks. I think that we pretty much cleaned up here. We pretty much hit upon them all right now. If there is anything that makes a big pop, I'm sure that Rich will call it out in the next 15 or so minutes as he jumps on the mic. But for right now, I'd start off on these five. You got the Mara, you got the Coinbase, you got EUDA, you got the CIFR stock. Let me jump back to that. I put that on our list. This actually looks pretty good, trading a little bit more volume per minute, a little bit sharper compared to some of the others that we have on our side list right now. And if Redfin can make a higher low and move back up, that seems to be pretty interesting still. All right, so start with these for right now, folks. And then again, Rich will be on the mic at 3 o'clock. Perhaps at that point, there could be something making a better move. But I would start and stick with this list. It will give you the best opportunity to find a runner here going into the close. For all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me a quick email. I always like to post my email here at the end of these streams, josh@c2trading.com. If you're interested in joining our workshop tomorrow, our exclusive Traders Talk workshop, we're going to host that normally, as we always do, inside our live trading room. Go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there to get yourself set up, to get yourself started. For Chris, Grant, Lewis, and all of us, just otherwise, any questions that you have, whether it be for later or for tomorrow's Traders Talk. There you go. One more time. There's my email address. But otherwise, folks, best of luck trading here going into the market close.